Folks, Kathy here for Tiny News, continuing our self-service tutorial for how to get your ghost site up and running. I wanted to walk you through sort of a few basic things that you could do to start getting your site looking like what your vision for your site is. Um, these are some basic things that anybody can do with any theme to get started. In general, I do find that most tiny news publishers need some individual customization of that theme. So don't feel like you're limited to what I show you here, but what I show you here is going to be a good start toward getting moved into your theme. And please reach out at any point and let me know if there are customization items that you need that you haven't figured out. Um, so let's go ahead and dive in here. So we'll talk a little bit today about how to set up your brand, how to look at some themes, and then how to adjust your theme settings. Okay, so let's go. So we're going to hop over here to my demo site, one of my many demo sites, and we're going to slash ghost so that we are looking at the back end. The current behavior of ghost is to take us to the analytics page. That's fine, whatever. But I want to get down here into settings. So you want to click that little gear icon in the lower left corner. Okay. Um, if this is the first time you've found the settings page, that's not true. You've already seen the settings page, right? But some things that we always want to do as part of our moving in is we want to make sure that we've got our site title and our site description set up. Our site title typically is going to show up in our header bar. It's also going to show up in our metadata and when we share and how our site identifies itself when it sends email. So make sure that you fill in your site title and your site description, okay? For many of these items, exactly where and how it appears in Ghost is going to vary depending on the theme. So we can look at some general things that we should probably set, but then exactly how they appear will be a little bit dependent on your theme. But so we do definitely want to make those settings regardless of what theme we're going to use. And then let's go ahead and let's look under the site heading at design and branding. So if we click on design and branding, or you could have just scrolled this down, we're looking under site where it says design and branding, and then we're going to click that customize button. Okay. Um, when you get there, you'll see a preview of your site, and you'll see that I haven't really moved into this site very much, except that I loaded some sample content. Okay. But super important, you can change your accent color. What color are the buttons? What color are the links sometimes? It starts out sort of this kind of intense pink. Maybe that's not what you're feeling like. So, maybe we'll make our buttons kind of, I don't know, some shade of green. Pick something that's kind of dark there. Okay. If you have a specific hex code already, like you've got a brand document or you know what color you want, you can type in your hex code, or you can just kind of play around and pick something if that's the stage of your brand journey that you're at. So we'll go ahead and we'll pick that accent color, and you can see right away it's gone and started changing some of the colors. Okay. We also have places to upload our publication icon and logo and publication cover. Not all sites use all of these in an obvious way on the front page, but in general, your publication icon is going to become the little icon that shows in the top left corner of the page. It'll also probably be in the membership sign up, and it may show up some additional places depending on the theme. Your logo is likely to show up in your header bar up here. And so for most themes, a banner sort of shape is most appropriate. And then your publication cover in this, let's just, I'm going to grab something from Unsplash, but you could also upload something. Here, we'll do a random person on a bicycle as my cover image. And you'll see for this theme, for these settings, that image actually shows up here. A lot of themes don't obviously use the cover image, but it will show up if somebody shares a link to your website. So do make sure you put something there. It starts out as sort of this purpley, swoopy gradient thing that isn't really much of a social preview. So go ahead and get something in there, and then you can experiment with how it looks on your theme and how it looks on social share. Um, this particular theme is going to put words on top of it, so maybe not something that already has words. But again, that kind of depends on the theme, what's going to be appropriate. Let's go ahead and let's upload a logo also. I had something ready to go. I may have misplaced it. So there we go. So I'm going to load in. All right, that image is way, way, way too small, right? You can see it showed up here when I loaded in my publication logo. It showed up in that header. I either need to pick a different image there, or I need to send our Ghost Tech support person. Oh, wait, that's me. Send me an email saying, whoa, my logo is too small. Would you make that logo load a little bigger so we can actually see it? I get this request from pretty much every publisher. So that's fine. Slack me. Link me your site. I'll fix you. It's a 5-minute fix. Don't worry about it. But get the logo in there. Okay. It's helpful if you do the parts you can do, and then you ask me to do the parts you can't do. Okay. Also on this page, I didn't upload an icon, but we'll do it. We'll do it just to see it. I know that I have something that's right. I'm looking here for something pretty small. You don't want to load a big, complicated logo. Well, here. We'll pick my tea mug. That's probably still a little too complex. But now when we visit the front end of the website, oh, did I save? Saving is good. We will hit save. Then we will go back to the front end of the website. And I don't know if you can make it out in the recording or not, but now we're actually getting that little preview logo. So that's where it's going to show up. The other place it's going to show up is, well, often it shows up if we click the subscribe button, but mine doesn't seem to be today. Okay, fine. A little surprised. It has historically shown up there. All right, I may be running some different version of the portal than I'm expecting. So anyway, back on task. Also here, we can change our fonts. You have a limited, but pretty good collection here of fonts. So if you'd like your headings to look one way and your body text to look another way, you can play around, self-serve, try out the options, see what you think. Those are all good. Often I end up with folks wanting their menu links to follow the heading font, not the body font. We can do that. Just let me know. No problem. Okay. But so here we have some general options that we can apply to any theme. Exactly how they impact your theme will be a little bit variable, but they're always there. So definitely recommended. As soon as you kind of get yourself moved into your site, go ahead and take a first pass at what those should look like. All right. So I'm going to hit save. And then let's talk about themes for a minute. Okay. So if you're coming from WordPress, this is a little bit different. Themes in Ghost really only affect like layout and logic of what content appears where. They don't affect the data model. They don't affect how Ghost behaves in general. They just impact how and what content is on what page. Okay. So it is completely 100% safe to change your theme anytime you feel like you need to change your theme. You will not lose any data. You will not lose any posts. Totally cool. Change your theme at will. Feel free to get a couple posts up, like half a dozen would be lovely just to be able to see what's going on. And then try it out. See what you think. See if you like how it looks. Okay. And you won't lose any content doing that. So let's go ahead. We're going to drop out of this design and branding for just a moment and look at where the theme selector is. So also under site from our settings menu, you're going to see a theme button. We'll click that. It'll scroll to this, or you can just scroll to it. I'm going to click, I can see what theme I have installed. I currently have Source, which is the default. If you just clicked the button to make a site, Source is what you got. Okay. And so then we're going to go ahead and click Change Theme. And we have here a whole bunch of nice little previews for different themes that Ghost makes available to us. These are sort of one-click install. You can just click. If you have a theme download file that you've gotten from somewhere, maybe you bought a theme, you could click this upload theme button and work through the process to upload it. We can also see by going to this installed link, we can see a list of themes that are already installed. This is my long-standing demo site. Yours will not show this many. Um, but if, for example, you've asked for the Tiny News theme, I've installed it for you, or I should have. And you're going to find it on this list here. And when you find the theme you want, you can activate it. If for some reason you need to download a copy of your theme, there's also an option here to download, and there's a delete button if you get really tired of seeing the 10 themes you tried but didn't like, or you can just leave them there. They're fine. Okay, so let's go back to official themes and just see how this might work. So I'm going to just click us over to Casper for fun for a second, and I click it, and then it gives me, this is a preview again. This is not my content. This is just a Casper preview. And I can click activate. And it says, yeah, we really do want to activate it. And now let's go back to our front end site. This is what it looked like before, right? And now let's reload it. And now we're on Casper. Now, clearly, if I'm going to use Casper, I need to make a different choice for my site logo, right? I mean, this doesn't work well with this theme, or maybe I did. So you have to play with it a little bit, okay? But you can see that by switching to Casper, I've gotten a different layout for how my content is. So play around, find something that feels like it's, pretty close to what you're looking for, okay? And I definitely recommend that you do your playing around with the free official themes that are all these ones here before you go out and buy something. I think it's a good idea to live in Ghost for at least a few weeks before you make a decision about dropping a couple $100 on a paid theme, because I think once you've done that, you're going to have a better idea of what you want that's different from what you currently have. Feel free to reach out before you decide to purchase something. I can often point you at how to get what you want without spending money. And, that's nice too. Save the money for something else. You got lots of competing demands. Okay. Um, I'll just shout out to Edition here as being kind of another good one. It's got this big sort of hero image. So if you don't have a lot of content yet and you're really driving subscriptions hard, you might like this one as a good place to start. And then, maybe later you switch it or you change it so that it doesn't take over the whole front page. But lots of good options here. You can play around with those. Okay, I'm going to switch us back to Source. Source is the theme that's going to be installed by default when you first create your Ghost site. And I think the current behavior is that it's going to be the only theme available to you until I get you on the TNC plan. So if you've done this at 3 a.m. on a Saturday and we're waiting for Ghost support to come back online on Monday, you might actually have Source to play with for a couple days or not have any other choices until they get your upgrade done. It's a little funky how that process works. But eventually you'll have access to all the free official themes and you can load anything you'd like. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's activate Source. Source is kind of funky. It actually has 3 different previews. It has a news and magazine and newsletter preview. And which preview you have on has absolutely no impact on what happens when you click activate. So it doesn't matter. Just click activate if you'd like to try out Source, or you're probably already activated in Source. Okay, so now what am I seeing? I'm back to seeing Source. It doesn't look anything like what I activated, did it? When Source was first released, there was a flood of people reporting that it was broken because they didn't have it configured. So let's get back to our settings page. I'm going to close out of our themes page. And now we're going back to design and branding. No matter what theme you're working with, you probably want to wander over to design and branding as soon as you've selected it. Click customize, and then click over to this theme tab. What's in the theme tab is specific to the theme you are using. Some themes have 20 choices, that's the max. Some themes have none or 2. It varies a lot, okay? So Source is on the higher end of how many choices there are. But so we're going to see we have choices for navigation. Do you want your logo in the middle, or do you want your logo on the left, or do you want it stacked, logo on top, links underneath. Okay. You can change your site background color. If you want your site to be black, you can do that. Okay. So, or any other color. You want your site to be bright red? I mean, please don't, but you could. Okay. So that's sort of an option. I'm just going to stick us back to something. Well, wasn't it? I'm going to put us back to something a little less horrifying. Okay. Maybe we'll use this nice pale pink. You can decide for yourself if that's horrifying. Source also gives us options to customize what's in that sign up heading. So instead of getting your thoughts, stories, and ideas, let me click save. Did not immediately take effects. I'm going to just drop this content here and hit save, and then I think we'll go and load it on the front end. I thought that that impacted this top section, but I'm thinking now that I'm wrong. That section impacts your sign up box down here. Okay, so I was mistaken about where that text appeared. But so if you'd like to have, instead of your site title and your subheading down here, if you'd like to say something specific about newsletter, you have the option to impact your sign up heading. And if I'd read just a little more, I'd have been able to say it's used in the footer instead of getting confused. Okay, reading is good. We also here have settings for homepage. Source has a bunch of different layouts. Right now we're looking at landing, but we could also look at highlight, which is going to look more like that, and magazine. Note that both highlight and magazine really need you to have a lot of content already and will look sort of broken if you don't. That's part of why I recommend that you get some content up and then play with the theme, even if it's just placeholder, title, subtitle, featured image, just so you can sort of see what's going to happen. Okay. So I think we also have an option that lets people search our site as sort of our main landing action. Okay, let's get ourselves back to highlight, which is the one that feels like a good newsy choice for lots of folks, assuming you have some pretty good content. And then it gives us some options like, would we like to show our featured posts? If we turn that on, and if we have featured posts, that makes this section here be featured posts instead of latest. So lots of choices. We can change our layout down in this bottom to be grid versus list. We can turn on and off the author and the publish date. There's also this sidebar that we can turn on or off. And then on the post, we can change, like, let's get over to our preview of a post. We can change whether we want to see the post metadata. That's like the author and the publication date. And we can turn on or off this related articles behavior. Okay. Not every theme has exactly these settings. In fact, every theme has different settings. So you'll have to just take a look at what you're thinking about and see what you've got. If there's something you're trying to do with your theme that you can't figure out how to make it do, that's a great time to send me a message. Like I said, I do find that most publishers do need some help customizing. Okay, but this is a really good place to start. And that should get you part of the way toward getting your site to do the things that you'd like it to do. So let's go ahead and let's load our front end. So now we can see, the changes that we made now are live on the site. And so, yeah, it's a good start. Let's see, did we do what we were supposed to do? We did. And so that's it for this one. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Always happy to hear from you. Just because I'm offering this asynchronous self-service thing doesn't mean that you have to stay asynchronous and self-service. I'd love to talk to you. I'm doing this because if we free up the time that I was using to help people do these things, then we can do more interesting, more complex things. And I have more time for getting you unstuck and helping you move forward. So please reach out at any time. I'm here to help. I love to hear from you. Have a great one.